Harvest of Haunts, a Thanksgiving Nightmare. I remember that Thanksgiving vividly. It was a chilly evening, the kind that makes you grateful for the warmth of family and the comfort of home. Our house was buzzing with excitement, the aroma of turkey and spices filling every corner. But something felt off, a subtle unease that I couldn't quite place. As we gathered around the table, laughter and chatter filled the air. But amidst the joy, there was a strange sensation of being watched. At first, I brushed it off as my imagination running wild, attributing it to eerie ambience of the holiday season. As the evening progressed, odd occurrences began to unfold. Plates shifted inexplicably, as if moved by an unseen hand. The lights flickered erratically, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. I tried to shrug it off, passing it as faulty wiring or the wind rattling old windows. But then came the whispers, faint, indistinct murmurs that seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere all at once. They spoke in hushed tones, unintelligible yet sending shivers down our spines. We all exchanged uneasy glances, trying to dismiss the growing sense of foreboding that hung heavy in the air. As the night wore on, our unease escalated. Doors creaked open and closed off their own accord, and the temperature in the house plummeted inexplicably. The once inviting atmosphere turned frosty, a chill that had nothing to do with the weather outside. Then came the moment that still sends a shiver down my spine. In the midst of our confusion and fear, the power cut out completely. Darkness enveloped us like a suffocating cloak, leaving us stranded in an abyss of uncertainty. We fumbled for candles and flashlights, but their feeble glow did little to dispel the growing terror. And that's when we heard it. The sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, echoing through the silent house. It was as if someone or something was pacing the halls, getting closer with each passing moment. Panic set in as we huddled together, hearts racing in terror. The whispers grew louder, forming an incomprehensible chorus that seemed to echo our deepest fears. We clung to each other, praying for the nightmare to end. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the footsteps ceased, the whispers faded, and the lights flickered back to life. The oppressive darkness lifted, leaving us shaken but alive. To this day, we don't know what visited us that Thanksgiving night. Some say it was the restless spirits of the land, disturbed by the holiday festivities. Others dismiss it as a collective hallucination, a trick of the mind brought on by the stress of the season. But for those who were there, we carry the chilling memory of that Thanksgiving, a haunting reminder that sometimes, in the midst of celebration, the line between the living and the unknown can blur in the most terrifying of ways. Blood-curdling Thanksgiving. My family's Thanksgiving tradition is one that we've held dear for generations. We gathered at my old grandfather's cabin, nestled deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, to celebrate the holiday surrounded by the beauty of nature. This year, however, our Thanksgiving celebration took a chilling turn into a night of unspeakable horror. As we arrived at the cabin, a sense of unease settled over me. The air was thick with an eerie silence, and a towering tree seemed to close in around us, casting long, ominous shadows. Ignoring my mounting anxiety, we settled into the cabin, the familiar creaks and groans of the old structure providing a comforting backdrop to our family reunion. As the night wore on, we gathered around the fireplace, sharing stories and laughter. But beneath the surface of our merriment, a sinister force was lurking, waiting to unleash its terror upon us. In the early hours of the morning, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence of the night. I awoke to find my family members in a state of panic, their faces pale with fear. My grandfather, his voice trembling, told us of a terrifying encounter he had with a strange figure in the woods. The creature he described was tall and gaunt, its skin as pale as moonlight and its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. As dawn broke, we ventured into the woods, driven by a mix of fear and determination to uncover the truth behind my grandfather's encounter. What we found in the depths of the forest was a scene of unimaginable horror. Scattered body parts lay strewn across the forest floor, the stench of death hanging heavy in the air. The creature my grandfather's description pales in comparison to the monstrosity that stood before us, emerged from the shadows. Its eyes burning with an insatiable hunger, locked onto us, and we knew that our lives were in grave danger. We fled in terror, the creature's guttural growls echoing through the trees. We ran until our lungs burned and our legs gave way, finally collapsing in exhaustion at the edge of the forest. As we caught our breath, we realized that we were the only survivors of the massacre. The creature, a beast of unimaginable terror, had claimed the lives of my family, leaving me alone and haunted by the horrors of that night. I managed to escape the clutches of the creature, but the scars of that night will forever remain etched in my mind. My family's Thanksgiving tradition, once a source of joy and togetherness, has become a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks within the depths of the woods. To this day, I am haunted by the memories of that fateful night, the screams of my family members echoing in my ears, and the image of the creature's glowing eyes forever burned into my retinas. Vanishing echoes lost in the Thanksgiving woods. I'll never forget Thanksgiving when the woods around our family cabin seemed to hold a sinister secret. Every year, we escaped to this secluded haven, nestled deep in the wilderness, seeking solace from the chaos of city life. But that year was different. A creeping sense of dread hung in the crisp autumn air. As we gathered for our traditional feast, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Shadows danced at the periphery of the forest, and the ancient trees seemed to whisper ancient secrets, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. The evening progressed normally until strange noises emerged from the woods. At first, we dismissed them as the usual sounds of wildlife, but these were different, unnatural, almost human-like in their cadence. My cousin, a seasoned hunter, grabbed his flashlight and ventured outside, eager to dispel our unease. Minutes ticked by and we grew increasingly anxious as he failed to return. Just as we were about to go after him, a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence, piercing the night like a blade. Panic consumed us as we rushed outside, only to find his flashlight abandoned on the ground, its beam flickering eerily in the darkness. Fear-stricken, we formed search parties, combing the woods, calling his name into the inky blackness. But the forest remained ominously quiet, save for the rustling of leaves and the distant hooting of an owl. Hours passed with no sign of him, and dread settled in the pit of our stomachs. As we huddled together in the cabin, the atmosphere turned suffocating, as if the very walls harbored some unspeakable secret. The fire crackled in the hearth, casting macabre shadows that seemed to dance in sinister patterns. Then came the tapping on the windows, a slow, deliberate rhythm that sent chills down our spines. Peering outside, we saw nothing but darkness and the looming trees, their branches swaying ominously in the cold wind. Suddenly, the cabin was filled with an otherworldly chill, the temperature dropping drastically. Breath misted in the air, and a sense of foreboding settled upon us like a heavy shroud. That's when we heard it, the distant, haunting sound of my cousin's voice, calling out for help from the depths of the forest. But it wasn't just his voice, it was distorted, twisted into a natural cadence that froze our blood. Terrified and desperate, we barricaded ourselves inside, praying for the night to end. The hours crawled by in agonizing slowness, each moment fraught with terror. But as dawn broke, the eerie occurrences ceased, leaving us shaken and bewildered. Search parties scoured the woods at first light, but my cousin was never found. To this day, the mystery of his disappearance remains unsolved, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk within even the most serene landscape.